So what is a stomp foot switch? Well, it's simply a normally open, soft push-button switch. Soft meaning that you don't have to click it in order for it to make contact. Over the years I've used many of these, and the less expensive ones have a higher failure rate than you might think. Certainly a lot higher than a micro switch. And a micro switch only costs about 40 cents. So why not make our own using a micro switch? In addition to the cost benefit, you also can make the switch either normally opened or normally closed. And you can customize the cover. You can make it any shape you want, you could add logos to it, customize it to your heart's content. So let's see how we go about making the DIY Stomp Foot Switch. Here are the parts we need. Let's start with the 1/2 inch dowel. We need a section that's 5/8 inches long and that has a hole in the center. We also need a piece that's an 1/8 inch long with that same hole in the center. We need a 1/4 inch dowel that's 1 1/4 inch long. We need a 3/4 by 1 3/8 inch piece of 1/8 inch wood that has a 1/2 inch hole drilled like so. Whoops, turn that around, like so. And finally we need a piece of 1/4 inch material that's 5/8 by 3/4. So let's see what we'll do with these. So the first thing we're going to do is take that 1/8 inch piece of wood. I'm going to take a piece of dowel and we're going to place it in here and glue it in. Now as you can see here, this is 5/8 and this is 5/8, so it doesn't quite fit. So we're going to have to sand this down a little bit. A nice way of doing that is chucking this piece of dowel into a drill like this, and then just taking a piece of sandpaper and running it. And there we go. It now fits. So we're going to glue this up, place it on a flat surface, and make sure that it's nice and flat in the hole and flush with the bottom. Now we'll let that dry. The next thing we have to do is take this dowel and we have to be able to fit it through here. And again, this dowel is a 1/4 inch, this hole is a 1/4 inch, so we're going to have to sand it down just like we did before until it fits nice and smoothly, just like that. Then we will take this short section of 1/2 inch dowel and we will glue it on to the 1/4 inch dowel and let the glue set. We'll try it out here on the piece and you'll notice that it goes through very nicely. Our next step is to cut one section of this off so that it's flush with the outside of the 1/4 inch dowel. So I'm going to take this piece and put it in here for a second so I can do this, and then just cut it with this saw. Okay, so we've cut that off. And notice that it's nice and flush with the edge here. And if it wasn't, I just sand it a little bit so that it's nice and flush. So now we take this piece and we put this through, and then we take one of the 1/4 inch pieces and we put it here, and you notice that this now can go up and down, but it can't go sideways because this piece not only holds this from coming out but also holds it from turning. So we have to glue this piece onto here. And I'm going to glue it such that the edge of this piece is flush with the 1/4 inch hole, and also the end of this piece is flush with the outside of the 1/2 inch dowel. So we're going to let this dry. now that this is dry, we can put the 1/4 inch plunger in, take a micro switch and place it so that its plunger is just on the 1/4 inch dowel. And as you can see, as we push down, it pushes the plunger down on the micro switch. So all we have to do is either screw this down, or if you'd like, we could use some super glue and just glue it right onto that 1/4 inch piece. I'm going to screw it down. So I've secured the micro switch, and I've also proceeded to make another one, another identical one, secured that one too. And as you can hear, both of them click very nicely. Again, let's just take one more look at the wiring. We use the common connector and the normally open connection point on both of these. I've secured them to a case that I made with some thin plywood on 3 sides and some pine on the ends, and the bottom also made from that same plywood. I drilled 2 1/2 inch holes in the top so that the 1/2 inch dowel could go through. I also drilled 2 small holes on either side of that 1/8 inch plate and then secured it to the case with 1/2 inch number 6 machine screws. Seems to work very well. So you could use it just like this if you wanted to. It might be a good idea to have a cap for the plunger. So you could take just any dowel, cut a hole in, and put it right on. Just like that. Now this one's a little too loose, because if you remember, we had to sand down the plunger. And here's a 1/4 inch drill bit. Here's the one that's a little smaller. It's 15/64. So what I did on another one is I drilled this hole at 15/64 so it would fit on nice and snug. But the nice thing about making your own stomp switches is that you can make your own caps. So in this case, I made a nice cap. I made a little recess here and made a little label. This is a stop-start switch, and this one goes from A to B. I'll put that one on too. And now I have my own customized situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook this up to a drum machine, and I'm going to show you how this works. So here are the 2 DIY Stomp Foot Switches mounted in the homemade case, and it's connected to an Alesis SR16 drum machine via the 2 TS cables on the left, with the output going from the right hand TS cable. So let's see how it sounds. Start. Now I'm going to switch between A and B. Now let's switch back to A. And let's stop it. So that does it. If you like this video, please give me a like. If you have any questions or comments, send them to broderfinjr@optimum.net. See you next time.